Hello, everyone. As you're coming into the room for growing your social media presence, we will get started in just a second, just giving a minute for people to get into the room. Okay, just a few housekeeping things. Again, captions, if you want those captions, they are down at the bottom on the Zoom screen, the CC button. Also, you can access captions in English or Spanish via the stream text by clicking the link that is popping up in the chat box for you. ASL interpretation is here for all sessions. And if you click on interpretation on the bottom menu and select American Sign Language, you can go to that ASL view there. If you have questions for the presenters during the session, please put them in the Q&A box. We're going to try and get to as many as we can. Please don't use the chat box for that because it gets very busy and we might miss a really good question that you have to ask. So use that Q&A box for us. If you have any technical difficulties, you can also put that into the Q&A box or the live chat button on the menu bar where it says technical support. Or you can also email us at info@disabilitysmallbusiness.org for assistance. The slides for the session can be found by clicking on the session of the live events page of the website. And with that, I think we are good to get started. So I am going to turn things over to Lane Hodges, social media and content specialist with National Disability Institute. One of my colleagues, love her and the work that she does. During this session, Lane is going to share practical tips on how to create content that really connects, understand your audience, and build an authentic online presence without breaking the bank. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Lane, and take it away for us.
Thank you so much, Nikki, for that wonderful introduction, and welcome everyone. Thank you so much for being here with us today. If this is your first session of the day, welcome to the 2025 convening. If it's not your first session, congratulations, you've made it. We're at the end of day one of your 2025 convening. So grateful to have you here. And please do feel free to take a moment to just have a nice little stretch, a yawn, a sigh, whatever it is you and your body needs, and give yourself a pat on the back and a hug for making it to the end of the day. You did it. Good job. And as Nikki said, this session is called Growing Your Social Media Presence, Practical Marketing Strategies on Any Budget. And today we'll cover how to build a social presence that connects, engages, and grows your community using tools and tactics that are simple, effective, and cost conscious. And here is our roadmap for today's session. In just a brief moment, I'll give a more in-depth introduction and tell you a little bit about myself and why social media excites me and why hopefully it should excite you too. Then we'll jump right in and we'll talk through how to know your audience, how to build an authentic presence, how to create content that really connects to that audience, how to use a tool that I love and use in my work called Canva for easy design. And finally, we'll discuss how to grow your small business on a budget because let's be honest, we're all on a budget. And we'll leave, as Nikki mentioned, a few minutes at the end for Q&A. So feel free to jot down those questions or leave them in the question box as we go, and we'll take time at the end to go through them. My name is Lane Hodges. My pronouns are she, her, hers. I have reddish, brownish, curly hair, glasses, blue eyes, and I'm wearing a brown turtleneck. And I am the social media and content specialist here at the National Disability Institute. And my work focuses on helping mission-based businesses and small teams tell their stories in a way that's both authentic and strategic without the need for a huge budget or staff. Throughout the span of my career, I've worked with various nonprofit organizations and brands, everything from wineries to coffee shops to dentist offices and everything in between. So I have a good idea of how to connect with varying audiences, just like all of the different audiences that I'm sure you all are hoping to connect with in your business. And I want to take a moment to tell you all a little bit more of my story and why social media excites me. So, growing up, I used to love critiquing television commercials with my dad. I know that's kind of a blast from the past for most of us that are on streaming services. If you guys can recall a time where we had to really sit and watch commercials to watch our television. But to this day, my dad and I love sharing ads with each other when a brand has created something that inspires us, that makes us laugh or cry or feel something. And while commercials and traditional media used to be prime real estate for marketing, the landscape has shifted, and I see social media as our new prime real estate. And we live in an increasingly digital world. The digital marketing world saw its first steep surge in 2006 when search engine traffic was reported to have grown to about 6.4 billion users in 1 month. Then Facebook launched in 2004, Twitter was soon to follow, and Instagram in 2010. And then, most recently, the international version of TikTok launched in 2017. So, social media is really only 2 decades old, and the social media boom has really only just begun, with the last decade and the COVID-19 pandemic really showing us a massive increase in usage. Today, around 5.4 billion people worldwide are using social media, which is around 65% of our global population. And the average person spends about 2.5 hours a day on social media. So I take the responsibility of creating content seriously, knowing that what we consume daily has the potential and the opportunity to make our audiences feel something. I like to think of social media as a brand's visual storefront. We in virtual storefront. We have a really limited amount of time in that 2.5 hours that we're competing for attention to capture our clients who are browsing our storefront, maybe window shopping along the sidewalk. We want to try to entice them to come inside and to learn more about our brand. And so I love to create visually appealing window displays or storefronts for brands to help them get more traffic inside their store. And if nothing else, I hope today's session equips you with new ideas to help enhance your business's virtual storefront. Before we dive right in, I'd love to take a quick pulse check. If you all could let us know in the chat if you are managing your business's social media. Let us know if that's you yourself, if you maybe have a partner that is doing your social media, or maybe a part-time or full-time employee. Maybe it's not currently on the front burner. Maybe it's on the back burner for your business. Maybe you're just wanting to get started. I see lots of folks saying, raising their hands that they do run their brands or their businesses' social media, or maybe not yet. And I'm seeing some LinkedIn, looks like different platforms that you all are using. I hear that someone is intimidated. Don't be intimidated. I hope at the end of today you feel empowered. So, if you're not focused on social media, or it does take a back burner in your daily operations and planning of your small business, you're not alone, as you can see from the chat. Even here at NDI, my role as a full-time social media specialist is newer to the organization. I'm actually the first person in this role. And 2.5 years ago, when I joined NDI, the folks in our marketing communications department saw that need to invest in their online presence with this position. But the reality is, for most small businesses, social media is often an afterthought, or it's just not something that you're able to invest full time in. So you're not behind. You're right where you need to be. And I hope today's session can show you that even just a couple of hours a week invested in your social media strategy can help you grow and focus on what really matters, or which is running your business. So let's start with the foundation of that strategy, which is knowing your audience. If you try to reach everyone, you'll actually reach no one. Just like all of you in this room today, we all have different needs and behaviors, and our audiences are as diverse as all of us. So, you want to try to tailor your tone, posting times, and visuals to meet people where they are. I recommend creating 2 to 3 audience personas, which are profiles that describe who you're talking to. Include their goals, their challenges, what motivates them. Then you can use analytic tools that are already built into your platforms, like Facebook Insights or LinkedIn page analytics, and see who is already engaging with your posts. You can also gather direct input from your followers themselves. Use polls or questions in your stories or email newsletters to better gauge what your audience wants to see more of. You can review your age, location, and engagement data maybe once a quarter and adjust your posting schedule accordingly. If your business serves multiple audiences, for example, customers and partners, test separate content streams for each audience. And remember that the number of followers that your business has doesn't necessarily equal engagement. A small but mighty engaged audience consisting of just a few people who actually click, subscribe, and buy what you're selling on social media is better than thousands of followers who never actually take that desired next step. For example, at NDI, our content for people with disabilities looks a little bit different from what we might post for financial professionals. Even though both of those things connect to the same mission, that intentional differentiation matters. So once you understand your audience's behaviors, needs, and pain points, you can start to build that content that truly resonates. And when you know your audience, the next step is showing up authentically. Authenticity isn't just a buzzword, it's what builds trust. Authentic content has 3 key tones: consistency, honesty, and clarity. Be consistent with your voice and your posting schedule. Be honest about your impact. Share both the wins and the lessons learned, and be clear about what you stand for. One of the most effective ways to show authenticity is to share real stories. Spotlight yourself, your team, your customers, or your partners. For example, here at NDI, we regularly like to highlight small business owners and individuals whose work aligns with digital inclusion. On the screen are 2 visual examples of some of our posts here at NDI. On the far right is a photo from a small business actually near and dear to my heart here where I'm joining you all from in Southwest Virginia, called Chris's Coffee and Custard, which is owned by a wonderful family, a mom and dad and their son Chris with Down syndrome. They have delicious sweet treats, and I love to go there at the end of a long day to get an affogato. And we highlighted them as one of our small business spotlights, showing photos. The photo seen on the screen is a photo of Chris himself with his mom. They're wearing the merch from their business and they're smiling, working behind the counter. And there's overlaid text that reads Small Business Spotlight, Chris's Coffee and Custard. This is a carousel post that we did. There are several more photos and storytelling points that help share what Chris's Coffee and Custard is with our audience and hopefully inspire them to learn more about the Small Business Hub at NDI and what we do to support small business owners with disabilities. The next example on the screen ties into the last point I have on this slide about mission driven. Make sure your posts tie directly back to your mission. Tie everything back to your business's purpose. Here on the screen is a teal graphic with white overlaid text reading, digital inclusion means empowerment, connection, access, justice, and equity. So this directly ties back to NDI's mission and was an opportunity for us to join the conversation around Digital Inclusion Week. And if you've ever followed a business that suddenly changed its tone, you probably noticed right away. And that's why consistency builds trust. If your audience ever thanks you or praises you online, share their comments. That's a free, authentic promotion right there. If you can, share one behind the scenes post a month, even something simple like a day in the life post. That will help humanize your brand and show authenticity to your audience. And importantly, remember that accessibility is authenticity. Add alt text, captions, and good color contrast. As Michelle at Duzanu touched on in our opening session today, accessibility not only broadens your audience, but it also demonstrates that your business genuinely values inclusion. And if you're unsure about where to start, try adding closed captions to videos and image descriptions to posts. Test your graphics with a color contrast checker. And these small steps can instantly improve reach and trust. So now that we've built the foundation of trust and clarity, let's talk about the content itself. Create content that connects through the 3 E's: empower, engage, and educate. Empower your audience, help them feel capable and confident. Engage them with stories, questions, and visuals that spark actual connection. Don't talk to or at your audience, talk with them. And finally, educate by offering value, teach something useful, or share insights from your field. For example, if your business is like the National Disability Institute Small Business Hub that serves small business owners, empower might mean sharing a checklist of how to get started with building a small business. Engage might be spotlighting a client story. Educate could be breaking down a concept like SMART goals into clear, actionable steps. Different platforms amplify different types of content. Here at NDI, we focus primarily on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. For Facebook, we try to think about community updates, events, and live streams. For Instagram, the focus is on visual storytelling, like reels or carousels, behind the scenes kind of content. And then on LinkedIn, we like to post thought leadership announcements and really utilize LinkedIn to amplify our partners. On average, audiences will spend approximately 33 minutes a day on Facebook, 42 minutes a day on Instagram, and 16 minutes a day on LinkedIn. TikTok users spend approximately 59 minutes a day on the platform. I know this sounds intimidating, but I like to think when I'm creating content about what I call stopping the scroll. We know that social media users are using their scroll finger or scrolling through their social media very rapidly. We have a small amount of time, usually only like 30 seconds or less, to really capture that scroller's attention, that 33 minutes, maybe 16 minutes a day that they're spending on that platform. We're competing with several other different businesses and content creators. And so we really want to do and share things that inspire that scroller to pause and stay a while, to come in from that storefront, to see something in that window display that they think looks pretty or exciting or inspiring or new, and that they want to come in and learn more about. Don't forget about the opportunity to repurpose content. One story can become a post, an email, a short video. So align posts with things like your email schedule so that you're reinforcing key messaging across your channels. At NDI, for example, a single webinar announcement could be promoted as a LinkedIn post, turn into a highlight video for Instagram, or even summarized in a newsletter communication. You can even start a simple content tracker, just a spreadsheet with columns for topic and format and platform to spot easy ways to reuse your best material. And here's an example of repurposing content in a way that we typically do at NDI. On the left side is a visual of an Instagram post for a webinar that actually your small business hub hosted this summer called Financing Your Business and Funding Strategies. And you'll see that graphic is in the 4:5 ratio, or Instagram's longer rectangular ratio. And then the exact same photo is used again for our email, but just kind of smushed down into a square. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel or spend a lot of time recreating the same messaging. This specifically can be used with Canva's Magic Resize tool, which I'll talk about in just a minute. But with a click of a button, you can easily change and reformat your designs to fit different needs. So, how do you create this kind of content efficiently, especially on a budget? That's where tools like Canva come in. Canva is one of the most powerful tools, in my opinion, for small businesses because it makes design accessible to everyone. Even with just the free version of Canva, you can access a content planner and actually schedule posts. You can use pre-made templates for social media, for email, for even your traditional or print marketing needs. You can design, probably one of my favorite features, on both desktop and mobile. So if you're on the go, as most of you I'm sure often are, you're busy, you're out, you're not in front of your laptop, you can pull your phone out and do it right from there. And then it just has a really, in my opinion, user-friendly drag and drop interface that makes it a little bit simpler and easier to access than more costly to learn and to invest in programs such as Adobe Photoshop or InDesign. And I do highly recommend, if you can budget for it. I know the session is on a budget, but if you can budget just $15 a month, you can upgrade to Canva Pro and unlock even more features that will instantly transform the amount of time you're spending in the platform and allow you to focus on what matters. So you can have access to premium content, photos, videos, graphics, fonts, you name it. You can use brand kits, which will help you use consistent colors and fonts where you can upload your logo and your brand colors all at once so that every single new design you create automatically matches your visual identity. You don't have to guess anymore what shade of blue is your blue. It's right there loaded and ready for you. There's also tools like Magic Write and Magic Edit, which allow you to come up with copy. Sometimes just developing copy or figuring out which words should go on the visuals that you're creating. It has great AI integration to help you get there. And Magic Edit, which allows you to do things like remove the background of an image in one simple click, or maybe smooth out a piece of hair that's flying away, or change the color of something in an image, or remove it altogether. There's also the built-in social scheduler, which allows you to directly schedule your social media posts through the platform. There's lots and lots of additional cloud storage, so you can not worry about having all of your designs in one place. You can also collaborate, where you can share a design maybe with a partner or just someone on your team or just another set of eyes to kind of check and dig in and edit themselves if they'd like to. And then finally, there are great export options like transparent backgrounds, which are great for logos. There's also animation and various other file types available. When you're going to create content, keep three essentials in mind: clarity, consistency, and concept. Clarity, or a clear message with a clean layout, will help your design attract the audience to learn more without overwhelming them or overloading them with information. Consistency, or the same color palette, the font family, and tone, helps build authenticity. And concept, or design that connects emotionally with your audience. Again, just like the ads Dad and I love to share back and forth. Something that makes the audience feel something is good. And when you're mapping out your content creation, I like to think about the common 80/20 guideline. The 80/20 guideline is where 80% of your social media content is value driven. This might be something that's educational or an entertaining post, a meme, maybe even a trend or a fun fact. It's something that doesn't directly tie to your business's product or services. And then 20% is promotional or directly promoting of your products and services with a clear call to action for the audience. I often also refer to this as the vegetables and candy of social media. The vegetables are a staple of any balanced diet. A healthy business needs to directly promote its products and services to survive and to thrive. But while broccoli is delicious, it isn't quite a sought after item in the Halloween trick or treat bowl, if you know what I mean. So try to sprinkle in the candy or that value driven content that, while it might not directly promote your products and services, it helps to tell your brand's story and to connect authentically with your audience. This will help keep them engaged and excited while still giving the broccoli its spot on the plate so that your business can grow big and strong. After today's session, I'd love if you would try opening maybe a recent post, or maybe just try drawing or mapping out in some way a post idea, and ask yourself, does the visual I've created reinforce my message or does it distract from it? And I want you to simplify that however and wherever you can. Now that you have a little bit of background in building an audience and tools and visuals, let's talk about how to sustain growth without overspending. You don't need a big business budget to build a big presence. You just need strategy and consistency. So these are some of my favorite budget-friendly tips. First, engage and encourage your team or your customers, your partners, family, friends, in sharing your posts. We know that word of mouth expands reach organically, and we know that algorithms prioritize sharing as a huge, huge engagement booster for your business. Clicking that share button is completely free. Next, focus on quality over quantity. Just like we'd rather have a few engaged followers than thousands of unengaged followers, it's better to post consistently 2 to 3 times a week rather than sporadically every day and like spaghetti on the wall trying to see what sticks. Next, stay engaged. Try to respond to comments and in a timely fashion. Join relevant community groups and use stories to ask those questions or poll posts to learn more. And not here on this slide, but a few additional ways I wanted to share that are budget friendly to grow are to tune into what your competition is doing. Follow those industry updates and continuously learn and experiment with trends. You can also subscribe to newsletters like Social Media Today. You can keep Google alerts on for industry relevant news, and keep a lookout for platform specific updates so that you can hopefully better understand any algorithm changes or new features. Please, if anyone has any other great budgeting tips to grow your social media, feel free to drop those in the chat as well so we can all learn. These are just a few of my favorites. Finally, use analytics to guide your strategy. Review what's performing best each month. Track engagement, not perfection, and experiment with A/B or split testing, where you're trying different captions or visuals to really see what resonates with your audience. And if you're working with limited resources, consider partnering with another business. You can collaborate or cross promote each other's work. As I mentioned before, you can turn a testimonial or a positive comment into a mini graphic. Share that out. Let everyone know what the good things that your customers are saying about your business. And try to see if you can, again, just set aside even just one content hour each week to plan and batch posts ahead of time. Let's wrap up and then I will open the floor for your questions. I just want to leave you all today with a few key takeaways. First, start where you are and use what you already have. Know your audience and speak to them, not at them. Build trust through authenticity, consistency, and accessibility. Repurpose your best ideas across platforms. Don't feel the need to reinvent the wheel. Measure engagement, not perfection, not viral posts or thousands of followers, but engagement. Who is actually clicking, liking, subscribing, sharing, and buying what you're selling. And if you take away nothing else, please take away this: consistency builds community. Social media success doesn't happen overnight. Viral posts don't happen overnight. They happen one authentic, consistent post at a time. Thank you all so much for joining this session. And I'm going to pass it over to Nikki to open it up for questions and discussions. But before I do, I just want to give you a little bit of homework that you're welcome to start on now or later. But take a minute to jot down one actionable idea, just one, however small or big, that you plan to try this week to grow your social media presence. Maybe it's setting up your Canva brand kit. Maybe it's just looking at analytics and understanding them, or maybe it's a new content idea. But just take a minute to jot that down. And I guarantee that if you keep showing up consistently for your business, you will see results. Thank you all so much.
That's wonderful, Lane. And I just want to say before we go into the Q&A that we have some wonderful comments in the chat. Excellent presentation. One person said, thank you. This was my favorite session. So, and great presentation. All right. So do you have any social media, can't speak now. It's the end of the day. Do you have any social media platforms that have AI tools that help write image descriptions?
Yes, Facebook specifically has a great built-in AI image description or alt text generator. Great question. And a follow-up sort of bit of information I'll give. Here at NDI, we like to use the embedded alt text and we also like to use image descriptions. And I do recommend using both of those because we've found that screen readers and embedded alt text seem to be not something that everyone has access to. But an image description is sort of a foolproof way that in your caption you have that built in too. So that if someone's not using a screen reader, but they do need an image description, they have that in the caption as well.
Wonderful, thank you. What tech are folks using to create videos typically? Cell phones, webcams, specially purchased equipment?
Great question. I'd say cell phones are probably the number one utilized tool to create social media videos. Most content creators and influencers and big brands might use, larger, more expensive cameras or equipment, but some of the best content I've seen is generated with just a smartphone and just that camera. So that's what I love about social media. Those stats at the beginning, the billions of folks, the 60 some percent of the global population that's on it, it really is accessible. And really, so many people can participate and can click record and start that. And as far as tech goes for actual video creation, here at NDI, I actually love to use Canva's built-in video creation tool. I do also, this is not as budget friendly, but we do also use Adobe Premiere Pro and Premiere Pro Rush, which is their sort of social media version of Premiere Pro, a little more watered down, if you will. Those are some of my favorites in terms of the technology or platforms to create videos.
Thanks. Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it, now how cameras are just, you don't even need a camera. You can do everything on your phone. Um, any tips on making visuals with poor fine motor skills?
Hmm, great question. I think even if it's something as simple as a photo with overlaid text, it can be really simple without needing, a lot of drag and drop or drawing or any of those motions. You can still create something simple. Again, if it's consistent, if you're able to create and publish consistent content, your followers will meet you where you're at. And so don't, overdo or overextend yourself, and just do what you can with what you have, create what you can, but publish that consistently, and your audience will meet you where you're at. They will appreciate that and see that and be authentic, and let them know that you're a person with a disability if you're comfortable with that, or share that, this is what you're creating or why, and kind of give that story, tell them a little bit about yourself, and I promise that they'll connect with you, and there'll be something in your story that they'll relate to, and that's what they're going to focus on. That's what social media is at the end of the day. It's storytelling. It's a way to connect. And so that's what your audience wants, is to connect with you and show up however is best for you to do that, to connect with them.
Yeah, that's great. Somebody had asked Clarity. Is that an app that you can do videos and things with? Have you heard of an app called Clarity?
I haven't, but I'm sure it is. There are so many. I can't keep up these days. I guarantee it. I believe it that it's one.
Okay. All right. And the next one, at the height of the pandemic, there were a lot of virtual small business development resources. One of the sessions I attended through the local small business development centers mentioned needing at minimum $2,000 for Google Ads SEO reach. Is this still the case? What is recommended for a budget for analytics and SEO in a newly founded business?
Great question. SEO and Google Analytics are a completely different wheelhouse. While they definitely feed off of each other, social media and SEO are separate. And I think specifically for growing your social media presence, you don't need Google Ads. If you have the budget and the ability to invest in that, great. If you don't, even just a fraction of that, $150 spent advertising your social media content, can get you to the same result. They're just different tools or different ways, right, to still get that client in the door. So I definitely think that you don't need, it's not necessary to use those tools.
Okay. The next question is, do you consult with small business owners to help improve their social media strategy? And I would say probably not you personally, Lane, unless you have a small business on the side I don't know about.
I don't. I appreciate the question. Maybe I should get started.
Maybe. But again, through the Small Business Hub, we do have a lot of resources, and so definitely connect with us, and we can see how we can maybe connect you with some resources or get some help for you. Okay. All right. So this is a cool one. For horse riding business and giving horse riding lessons, what would you recommend for content?
Oh, that is so much fun.
I
I
know, I know.
rode horses this summer, my partner and I, and we had so much fun. I think I would definitely take photos of your beautiful horses and share them as like meet the team posts, kind of, quirky, cutesy way. Introduce them, share their names, share a little bit about them. I think the animal lovers of the world and your clients who want to come ride horses would love. I loved knowing my horse's name, and I would have definitely loved to read a whole post of information more about them. I not sure if this is the safest thing, but when I did ride horses, I did pull out my phone and snap some photos and some videos. So if that's safe and accessible to you, I think if at least you're able, maybe not encouraging your clients to do that, but if you're able to do that, those kinds of what we call POV or point of view um, kind of photos or videos are really meaningful. And also for your guides or yourself, whoever is facilitating the riding, letting folks know about them. I could keep going, but yeah, I think just as get creative as you can, and focus on your horses and telling their story and yours, would definitely help get the word out and get folks excited.
Yeah, I agree. I have horses myself, and I think the more you can sort of show their personalities and tell about them, it does bring people in. Please include the video tips she just mentioned. Oh, okay. So this must have been a little bit ago. You mentioned some video tips. Um, can you repeat what those were?
Um,
I know you said maybe that was when you said Canva and then the Adobe thing. I think
okay,
maybe
yes. So with Canva, you can actually create video content. And that's what I use and love. So you can go in there and select the content type as reel or video post. And then there are thousands of templates you can use with preloaded graphics and animations. There are some great tutorials for all of that on YouTube and through the platform as well. So I recommend checking those out. But yeah, Canva is kind of a one size fits all tool. It's really great. I know some graphic designers are kind of like turn up their nose at Canva or say that Adobe or products are better, but I use both and I think Canva is great.
great. And you said the other one can be a bit spendy as well. So
Yes,
sounds like Canva's some
Premiere
other
Pro
better
is
option.
quite more of an expense, and then Premiere Pro Rush is a newer version of Premiere Pro that's specifically for videos created for social media.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, all right. Somebody asked if I'm supposed to be on screen, and yes, I am. So I'm not sure. I can see myself, so hopefully you can as well. Are there any tips and strategies for maintaining a consistent social media schedule as a business owner with ADHD?
Well, I have ADHD too, so I feel you, and it is not always easy. And that's really where I like to repurpose content if and when you can, turn a blog post into a carousel or a testimonial into that kind of quote graphic or a webinar clip, even such as this, into a short video. So look for ways to tell one story in multiple formats. Also, if AI use is part of your business, using ChatGPT or AI to just assist in content when, let's be honest, and anyone that's worked in a creative way can admit that there are times where your creative light bulb is just on and rocking, and there are other times where it is off. And so in my off times, I often like to chat with my friend ChatGPT and help get some new inspiration or ideas for content that way. And then going back to the competition analysis, don't be afraid to look at what your competition is doing and to not necessarily like copy paste what they're doing, but to reimagine it for your small business in a way that makes sense to you.
Yeah, that sounds great. It sounds like there are lots of people that cannot see me on screen. So if you go to the right top of your screen where it says view, you can look at different views. And maybe if you try gallery, that's the one I have on right now, and I can see Lane, the interpreter, and myself. So maybe try that. And if not, I'm sorry, I'm not doing background tech support. So hopefully someone's trying to fix it. So we've been having a few tech glitchy issues today. I don't know. But all right. So I apologize that you cannot see me. All right. If I haven't posted in a long time due to recently relocating, how do I re-engage my audience and keep up with consistency going forward as someone whose disability makes it hard to have the energy to be consistent? So re-engaging with audience and tips if energy is a challenge.
Yeah, I'll talk through the energy one first and then go back to re-engaging. Kind of going back to the earlier question on ADHD. Um, if you are aware of the times of day maybe that you are most, energized or have the most full battery, maybe set aside, it doesn't even have to be an hour, maybe even just 10 minutes to sit down and utilize that time where your battery is full to content plan. And that's what I do as a person with ADHD. I set times in my Outlook calendar on my schedule for content planning where I'm kind of like out of office unreachable. I mute my notifications. I try to just really remove any and all distractions, and really, dive in and give yourself grace. And it's okay if you sit down to do that and you go, I don't have the energy or the focus right now. Again, working in a creative way is not going to always, your creative side isn't always going to show up for work with you. So it's all right if you tell it to wait and that you'll get back to it later. And to re-engage them, I would use a mix of analytics and direct feedback. So look at your previous posts and see which got the most engagement. Um, and that is kind of telling you like what your audience is resonating with them, but you can also just ask them directly. Maybe make a post and reintroduce yourself or say, it's been a while, but here, this is who I am. This is who my business is. I'm excited to revamp this social profile with you. Ask them what kinds of things are you looking for in terms of content, and that will just allow them to re-engage and to kind of look and start over with you.
Yeah, okay. One last question, because we are pretty much at the end of time. How do we try to make sure people don't steal our work? Is there a
Mm.
copyright or patent thing we need to do?
Great, understandable question. I would put your logo mark on whatever you can so that it makes it harder for anyone that's going to screenshot or reshare that your logo is there. So even if they do, the audience will know who it comes from. It's unfortunately just a part of social media. We see this happen a lot where pages and content creators will quite literally copy paste someone else's content and pose it as their own. So I'm sorry if that's happening to your business. I know that's frustrating, but just keep going and keep showing up consistently and authentically, and the followers will know who the original is. They have the tools and the ability to trace back and find you, and so just keep pushing forward.
Thanks a lot. Well, with that, Lane, I'm gonna just say thank you so much to you. We have some wonderful comments still coming in, so obviously what you had to share today really resonated. Remember that the contact information for any of our speakers today is on the session, this particular session on the live events page. Also, complete that brief feedback that you'll find by visiting that live events page and clicking on rate this session. We really want to hear from you and what you think. And you will be, let's see. Oh, the exhibit booths, don't forget to go and share those. If you haven't had chance today, you can visit at any time. The site will be up for, I believe it is 60 days, if I'm not wrong. And so all of that information will still be there. Verizon, if you joined that earlier, you learned about Verizon Digital Ready and all the wonderful small business things. They do have a lot of sort of social media things in there. And so there are some little trainings and resources and things on social media if you sign up for the Verizon Digital Ready platform. And we also have those downloadable resources on the resources tab, which is the Comprehensive Entrepreneurial Guide, which I do believe Lane had something to do with making beautiful. So thank you, Lane, for that. And it's all about starting and growing a business. And there's also a virtual accessibility guide as well. Also, there are folks in the chat that are sort of putting in their LinkedIn if they want to connect to others. I know that one of the things that we've heard is that founders with disabilities love to connect with other founders with disabilities, other people in business. So if you want to pick up some of those LinkedIns, they are there if that's of interest to you. All right, and with that, thank you very much. That's a wrap for our day one. Please don't forget to join us tomorrow for more wonderful, wonderful content. And we will see you there, hopefully tomorrow. All right, thank you so much.